have to realize what it is you want and what it is we're willing to risk. Because nothing in life that's worth anything comes with no risk. And yeah, there was a risk. They could have taken my business and taken it away and confiscated stuff. But I'm sure if that happened, God would have had something better for me on the other end. My message to people is we are stronger together than we are by ourselves.
Yet another great guest on the Erased podcast. We have Uridel, otherwise known as Big Lou, outspoken gym owner in California who spoke his mind during the COVID era, and they took him out by his knees, or at least they tried to. I intentionally didn't share a lot with you about Lou's story because you're going to just fall in love with him. You guys are just so freaking aligned. You're going to have a lot to talk about. So I sometimes like to set up the atmosphere where I put you in front of other people and just sit back and watch and let the sparks fly.
Well, I like it already. Yeah. I have a feeling I know what happened. Communist California during that time.
Oh, yeah. Nice to meet you, Lou. Thanks for coming on our show.
Nice to meet you, Big Dave.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have an understanding. He's Big Lou and I'm Big Dave, but everybody here in Miami knows me as Big Dave, so that shouldn't be a surprise to most people who know me already. So, you're a gym owner in California, and how did the idea even come about? How did you even get into the business? Were you a personal trainer? Tell us what prompted you to want to open up your own gym.
Yeah, so I started off I was a lawyer, and I worked through the legal field, but I just didn't feel a passion for it. But I felt a passion for fitness and helping people, helping them get in shape. So I started bodybuilding competitively, started to train people. I felt a very good feeling about helping people get into shape. And the dream was always to own a gym. I just could never make it work out. I always tried myself as hard as I could. And then in 2016, I was saved by grace and gave myself completely to Jesus. And God's like, hey, listen, you should try this gym. And I was like, listen, I've tried this before. It's not going to work. And he said, you haven't tried it with me. And by the end of 2017, the gym was open. We had around 300 people in pre-signs. Never turned back since then.
Well, I'm curious about this being saved by grace. I love these stories. Can you share briefly what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like saying a dark place because I think some people think that's like suicidal. I was just in an empty place, I guess I could say. There's a lot missing in my life. I didn't feel complete. My mom is very devout Christian. She says, what you're missing is Jesus. And I was like, blew her off. Come on, Mom. I believe in God and all like that, but what's this Christian stuff's not going to help me. So she stayed on me every day for 2 months to go talk to a local pastor. And finally, one day I was like, if you stop calling me every day to do this, I'll go there and talk to the guy. So I went there and talked to the guy, and the guy was probably the best person to talk to me. He just started talking to me, started sharing scripture with me. And by the end of the little time we were talking, I was broken down in tears, saying the sinner's prayer. And gave myself to Jesus. Next week I came back to talk with him. He said I had a completely different aura about me. I was just on fire, I was glowing. I just wanted to read as much as I could about Jesus and what he could do. And it just kind of flowed and compounded in my life as the Holy Spirit just started working.
You were in a flow state.
Wow.
And then I must open a gym. I just feel like this is my calling. In 2017, you did actually open your gym.
Went through a lot of trials and tribulations opening it too, just with the city permitting and stuff. We got to a point where we were going to be bankrupt and not be able to open because we had to wait like 2 months for these permits to get through. I remember throwing myself in the ground in the house I was renting. And I was like, listen, Jesus, you want me to go on the street and preach to people about your existence and I'll wear a burlap sack, I'll do it. But I really think that I can reach a lot more people with this gym and testify to my testimony of your greatness. That Monday, I got a call from the planning department saying that everything was approved ahead of time and they were going to go ahead and let us get our building permits going. So, but for God, we would have never been open.
Here's the question for you. Who's writing your story, you or some random dude on the internet? If you're sick of Google, gossip blogs, or that one angry ex controlling how the world sees you, it's time to do something about it. Erase.com helps you take back your narrative by removing harmful content, outdated info, and straight-up lies from search engines. Your past shouldn't be a permanent headline. Erase.com gives you the reset button that the internet forgot to include. So don't let the web define you. Go to erase.com, use code ERASED for 10% off, and start owning your story today. Links in the description. Click it. Your future self will thank you. And specifically, in California, which township or village or city were you in?
Oceanside.
Oceanside.
Oceanside in Santa Monica?
Oceanside in it's in North San Diego. It's just outside of Camp Pendleton, the Marine base.
Okay.
Leila's from California.
I'm from California. So, okay, so you got the gym open. You have over 300 members. You're rocking and rolling. 2017, 2018, 2019, COVID.
2020.
2020.
Yep.
Tell us what
2020 hits.
2020
hits.
A gym owner in the beginning of COVID.
Yeah, Jim. They started talking about like, oh yeah, I'm a bodybuilder. So what they did was they canceled the Arnold Classic, which was in Ohio. This is kind of like the foreshadowing because they didn't want people coming in from all over the world bringing this new virus that was out. And I was like, oh, that's silly, canceling something like that. And they're talking about, well, we may have to shut businesses down. And I said, they'll never do that. And sure enough, they issued this thing where all business had to close down because they show all these videos of people just collapsing in China or something like that. And so we decided, we'll go ahead and close down because I don't know anything about this virus. This could be a real virus that kills people. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. So we stayed closed for they said it's just the month of April, right? And after April.
No, it was March.
Well, it started.
March.
Yeah.
It started mid-March, yeah.
2 weeks slow spread,
yeah, so
right?
2 weeks. 2 weeks, and they said, well, we're going to also close down for April. So I started thinking, man, this is ridiculous. I got to start thinking about what I need to do. So I started planning ahead of time, right? And I went out to all these businesses that were open, and I thought it was huge injustice that, say, like the jewelry department in Costco could be open, but a mom and pop jewelry store couldn't be open. Like, why can Costco sell jewelry and clothes, but a clothing store can't sell clothes because they're not essential? And the whole meaning of essential, non-essential really got under my skin. So I started probably mid-April, I started planning a reopen. So I did everything I could. I hired these doctors, these biologists to come in to make sure I had it on paper that this place was an A+ rating for not catching a virus. I had little sprayers I put out on stuff, which turned out to be pointless. We had fans blowing, open door, air blowing through. So there's really nothing they could do or say. And, of course, we never got due process out here. We didn't get a chance to present everyone's business. It was just shut down. We're taking away from you, but not giving due process. So
it's like one of those California gyms where it's wide open, doors are open, sort of working out outside.
Kind of like a tunnel. Air could just blow straight through this tunnel,
Okay.
And yeah, so it came around May 8th. I decided I was going to reopen it on a Friday. The police came out and they said, hey, why are you open? And I was like, you know what? We just decided we need to be open. We put all these precautions in place. That the officer that came out was really cool. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to file anything on this. It's not really my part. There's no crime going on here. So that was that. I thought,
were you the only business open at that time in your whole
so
block, or what?
We were the only business open that wasn't supposed to be open. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're the only one. We're the only gym. Yeah. Indoors, we were open indoors.
Can you imagine if all the businesses stood together and said, we're all staying open? They wouldn't have been able to do that.
No, they wouldn't have been able to. But people at the time were very scared. Yeah. They were very worried about fines or they were threatening to take away people's business licenses, threatening to confiscate all the property. And you'll find out about, they came at me with a lot. On Saturday, the next day I got a call from a lieutenant who said, if you reopen, we're gonna issue a citation and try to close you down. I was like, well, all due respect, I'm gonna be open tomorrow. Now that group, they have like different
sounds reasonable to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
definitely.
So the next day, it was Sunday. I remember it was around 11:30. Cop car pulls in, and this guy comes in, very just arrogant. Probably the only arrogant police officer in Oceanside, because every single officer has come up to me and talked to me, said they did not agree with that decision to arrest me. The guy comes in and he's like, you were told to be closed. Why aren't you closed? Like, because it's my business. I'm putting food on the table for my family. We're good here. We're good. And he's like, if you don't close down right now, I'm going to arrest you.
And did you have customers? Were you
Yeah,
members?
they were all like, they all crowded around, you know, and he's like, I'm going to arrest you. I'm like, arrest me? I'm like, with handcuffs in jail? He's like, that's what arrest you means. I'm looking at him, and it felt like 20 minutes went by, but it was probably like 10 seconds. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I've never been arrested before. You know, so I put my hands out. I'm like, what do we do cuffs on me? Like, what do we do? He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. So like, they take me outside, handcuff me, put me back in the cruiser, take me to the jail.
And it's unlawful to do that. It's so unlawful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about, it was a health ordinance that the police are enforcing. They don't have the jurisdiction to, you know, but it didn't matter at that time. It was just full on martial law at that time.
Communism.
Like, they wanted to do in the name of safety.
So they take you. Did you call your? I guess you get a phone call. So take us through this. I've never been in this situation as well, and hopefully I never
So you're
am.
in the cop car. By the way, like we were very, you know, I was prepared.
She said, "I am prepared to be chained to the front of the school,
Yeah, I was
you know,
prepared. I was
and go
ready.
to jail." And I was like, "I will definitely get you out after a little while." You know.
I was like, you know, and mine was really because I didn't want to mask any of our kids.
That's
And
ridiculous.
there were gym owners that were arrested for not masking people trying to work out.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well,
So take us through
yeah,
what
yeah.
happened. So you're
Okay.
in the cop car.
Yeah,
You're on
these-
your way to
these-
jail. And then
That
what
is-
happened? Did somebody shut down the location? Did everybody leave?
So,
what
But
happened?
when I left, the cop told it, anyone that stays in here is going to get arrested, and I'll take you in a paddy wagon. So everyone left, right? Because there's Marines in there. No one wants, they get arrested, they get kicked out the Corps. So yeah, I went. I had no idea what was going on back at the gym, and they processed me and got me out of there in about an hour and a half because there was no one being held in jail because of COVID. Like they were letting out, if you were a child molester, you were getting out. They just didn't hold anyone for any crime. They opened the back door out. I came out in this like grass field. I had to walk around the building. My wife picked me up out front, went back to the gym and reopened it up. So
I love it.
Wow, I love
I
it.
was like, why are we closed? I go,
Same
they
day.
said
Same day.
No, yeah, we just opened the doors up and that was that, you know, and then the next day, we didn't reopen the next day because I actually talked to some lawyers and they wanted to figure some stuff out about the ways that we could do it better. So I listened to them for that one day, and then I said, you know what? We're going to have a rally at the gym, and we're going to reopen it, and we call all the news stations. So we called all the news stations out there. They all covered it, and I had people testify. The biggest thing about it was, before I opened, I prayed on it to God. I said, is this something I need to do? I don't want to hurt people. I don't want people to die because I'm doing something. And God said, I remember this strong conviction in my chest, him saying, not only do you should do this, you need to do this. They're going to try and take your money away. They're going to try and take your business away. They're going to try and incarcerate you, but don't worry, I got your back.
Wow.
That's
Before you reopened or before you opened?
Just before I opened.
The first,
Yeah.
the
prayed
grand
on it.
opening, yeah, the
Reopening.
grand reopening, yeah.
Yeah, I prayed on it, and I just knew nothing could happen. There's nothing they're going to do for me. Nothing, no man on this earth. You know, I'm not scared.
Wow.
So we did it, and they were gonna come out in like force, right? They had like, I heard that police and riot gear were coming. They're gonna like raid the place, barricade it up.
Tear gas.
But I was over the news everywhere. AP News came out to interview me, and I'll never forget this lady. She was so nice, and of course at the time I was really in shape. I was wearing like short shorts and a tank top. And she's like, wow, you're like the typical Southern California surfer guy. You know, and here you are just trying to have a gym and they're trying to close you down. And she starts interviewing me, and the police drive by. And she said, are they going to try and arrest you? I go, maybe they just drove by because you're here. So she asked if she could wait out in the car. And when they came back, could she run in and interview the police?
Wow.
I'm like, for sure you can do that. It'd be great.
Wow.
So the cops came back in, you know, they take my license, and the one guy, inspector, is walking around. She comes bustling in, and her husband's with her with the camera, you know,
Wow,
running
I
after.
love this.
And she's like, I'm, you know, Sonia something with AP News reporting around the nation. Are you going to arrest Louis Uridel for opening his gym and trying to feed his family? She's holding him back. And he's like, he has the idea in his hand. He's like, no, we're just coming by to check things out here. And hands it back to her, hands it back to me, and they leave. And the next day, OPD comes out, and they said from this point on, OPD was not going to make any arrests. They weren't going to come by. They would come by one time a call is made, because every day I got so many calls. At one point, I think I had around 14,000 calls in one weekend.
Wait, hold on. People against you or for you?
Against, calling in saying this gym's open, shut it down.
Wow.
Like just calling in. You know, they see it on the news because I'd have a news piece would drop and they would call. And so they said, we'll take a report, we'll send it to DA, and the DA can handle it. This is San Diego County business, it's not Oceanside business, so we're not going to do anything to you.
But just pause for a second. Just think about that.
What?
Stupid people. Instead of people banding together to stop the insanity, you have all these cowards that are scared of, all the man-made fabrication nonsense, and they band together to try and get him to shut down.
Yeah, all over the world, I'm sure these phone calls
That's the problem.
were coming from.
That's the problem. People are
San Diego
so gullible.
started an anonymous tip line for people to call in on report businesses that were open. It's just like the Third Reich, man. They're like you're like calling in and reporting people.
Jeez.
Wow. But even in the gyms, so we're fortunate enough to be in Florida. Florida had one of the easier COVID experiences, but I used to belong to a gym that I just loved going to. And we reopened really fast. I don't know if you probably know better than me when gyms in Miami opened up. I think it was before elsewhere in the country.
June.
Yeah, and but you had to wear masks, and of course, the way that I expressed my freedom is I would have it under my nostrils, and people would tell the management.
Well, you also had the
And I had
see-through mask.
had all these giant holes in it, with sparkles, and other people in the gym would rat on me, and they would come and say, "Sir, you need to put your mask on fully." And I was like, you know what, I'm out of here, and I started working out at home, for the next few years.
Yeah, we never required anyone wear masks, and that was one of the hit pieces the Union Tribune wrote on us that actually was probably the best thing that ever happened to the gym. The title of the article, I think, was something like Oceanside gym owner defies order, and then the subheading was allows gym members to work out inside without masks on. The next day,
Scandalous.
the number of people that were lined up, I read the article in the Tribune. Are we allowed to work out inside with no mask? I'm like, yeah, I want to sign up.
Oh my
There was
God.
so many people that came out. I couldn't believe. I go, where are all these people coming from? And they all read the Union Tribune hit piece.
That's a fascinating parallel with our school. When our controversy came out, our school had a very divided, polarized parent community and teacher community. And when the controversy started happening, so many people ran for the hills, and we lost many of our teachers, most of the families. But it did, all the negative attention attracted people from all over the world who heard about our school and knew this is the only place they could put their kid in school. And we had people moving from all over the world. London,
so you found
Australia.
your people, really, right? You found more people that were aligned with you because of the media hit piece.
We had a couple that drove down from Pasadena. It was a 2+ hour drive every day to work out because there were no gyms in LA open. Nothing. You go to a gym, you got to come.
Did you get bigger? Did the gym get bigger?
Yeah, so around I think in October of 2020, we had to expand into a 4,000 square foot place. We had like a 4,000 square foot. We knocked the wall out. We had to expand because we grew so much and had so many members sign up to be a part of it. We still have members to this day who are members there because of what we did and standing up against everything.
Wow, that's a beautiful story.
So your story is a little lucky because, there were other parts of California and other parts of the country where the government was issuing insane fines.
Well, they threatened us. So the second lockdown happened in July. It was perfect irony. 2 days before the second lockdown, there's a Small Business Appreciation Month.
Wait, hold on. You guys had a second lockdown? We didn't have
We
a
had
second
three.
lockdown.
We had 3 lockdowns. So they raised the lockdown in June. So from June to July, it was open, and then they re-locked down from July until probably October.
I'm sorry, one second.
There's a third lockdown.
Sorry, one second. Sorry.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Just ask your question again.
Okay, sorry.
So you had.
Okay, so wait a minute. So we were fully out of lockdown here. Everybody was free in July. and even before July, it was still very loose. California actually had a second and a third lockdown?
So there was no working out inside gyms until about, I would say, April of 2021. You was not allowed to work out
No.
until April, when the mask mandate was lifted in April or May of 2021. You still couldn't work out in gyms. So we had never stopped. And so the second lockdown happened, and there was an outbreak in one of the other gyms that was staying open. So they started cracking down on all the gyms, and everyone just folded. Everyone just folded like teacups. Myself, however, did not. So they threatened us with, I think I had 21. They threatened us with 21 misdemeanors, and they want $1,500 a day fines, and they would be applied retroactively from the day we were open. So it'd be instant 90,000 fine, and then $1,500 a day after you reopened.
Wow.
Of course, thrown in jail until you close down. That type of stuff was all threatened. And I was like, well, this is getting kind of serious. And so I had to dig into my legal background. So I started looking. I realized that this whole thing wasn't very well thought out. They didn't write the order well. There weren't lawyers, I don't think, were involved in this. They issued a immediate closure order for my gym, but they didn't put a time on it when I could reopen. So I closed down at 8 p.m. that night, which I normally was going to, and reopened the next morning at 6. I immediately closed, and you didn't say anything about reopening, so I'm reopening the next day. Yeah. So I realized that this wasn't a very well-oiled machine. It wasn't thought out. So I started going through the California, what the health order was, and I found something very peculiar. All the things like dental offices, they said no more than like 10 people in there, no more than like 5 clients, blah, blah, blah. When it got to physical therapy, there were no requirements listed for physical therapy. It just says physical therapy can be done indoors, period. So I talked to a member of our gym who was a doctor of physical therapy, and I asked, is it something that physical therapists do to write preventative workouts for people to prevent injuries and work with that? She said, absolutely. I go, would you be willing to write a prescription for this for all 1,500 members? So preventative workouts indoors. She said, absolutely, I can do that, no problem. So she got a free membership.
That's awesome.
And when I talked to the emergency services people and the attorney, I said, guys, we can just drop all this stuff right now. From now on, members of my gym are doing physical therapy, and under the order, physical therapy is allowed. They go, well, you're limited to 10% capacity. No. Read the order. I didn't write it. The order has no limitation on capacity. So actually, I can put full capacity in my gym.
Wow. As
opposed to before where I was limited to like 40, 50 people. Now I'm going to put 390 people in there.
Where did you say this? Was this on the phone or you at a hearing?
It was a conversation with my lawyer and them. And they're like, well, we're concerned they're going to have too many people in there. I'm like, then you should take it to the state of California and have them redo the wording on this.
Wow.
So it fits that. Because right now, we go to court on this, I'm winning. Like, it's right here. So the prosecuting attorney was she's actually, I would definitely say more right-leaning. And she's like, that's good enough for me.
Wow.
It reminds me of the story, the second controversy that we ran into.
Well, we did something similar.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Well, it might be, I'm not sure which one, but there was a period of time where there was a belief anecdotally that the you-know-what was transmitting, and so people who did not get the you-know-what. And so she was very concerned about this, and so she made a policy in the school that anybody who gets it needs to stay home for 30 days. As opposed to somebody who's sick needs to stay home for 30 days. Somebody who actually gets it needs to stay home for 30 days. And as a private school, we're allowed to make any policy that we want. And the media got a hold of this, and just they didn't know what to do with themselves. They didn't. And at the very last second, a legislator, tried to pass emergency legislation at the state level, saying you can't allow this to happen, that a school cannot make somebody, or business cannot make somebody stay home for actually getting the you-know-what. It's just like their mind was blown. They didn't know what to do. It failed by...
Coming back on them, they don't like that.
They didn't even know how to get their head around it.
I'm like, okay, you want to send people home for not getting it. I'm going to send people home for getting it. No, but what I wanted to talk about.
You had a different story?
Yeah, I had a different story. Yeah. My story was, I had our lawyer. So there was a little loophole somewhere in the Florida law that said if somebody can't breathe, they shouldn't be forced to wear a mask. So our lawyer drew up a whole document, referenced this code, and said, and had the parents check a box, check one of these boxes. If your child can't breathe, check here, and then they'll be allowed to not wear a mask. So we had all the parents sign it who didn't want their kids to wear a mask because they couldn't breathe. So that was one of the little legal documents that we put together to say, hey, we're not doing anything wrong. They can't breathe. You can't force a child to not breathe.
Right.
Yeah, and then it goes to another level, and in the other story that I shared, it went all the way to the state level, and it didn't pass, and so they were left with this rogue school that somehow is working the system and the angles and is allowed to keep operating. What do we do now? So then they tried to get the Department of Education involved, and she's so great. And they call her up and basically says, we need you to basically
Department of Disabilities Act.
Yeah, it was the Department of Education though.
No, Department of Disabilities.
Yeah.
They called.
Okay.
They were upset with me because I didn't want the teachers to get this thing because they had a disability and I wasn't allowing them to get what they needed for their disability. It was totally garbage.
Yeah, so they wanted you to, I guess, admit you were wrong and pay a fine and stop the practice.
Yeah, $8,000.
And she basically told them to go and pound sand over my dead body. Am I ever going to allow that? And you guys can go crawl up in a ball and go somewhere.
Yeah.
Never heard from them again. You have to do that. You have to.
Can you imagine if more people did what you did? That they got away with this because so many people.
Yep. There were businesses that came to me before the second lockdown, and they just came up all day the day before, and they're like, "Are you staying open?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm staying open." They go, "Well, what are you going to do?" I don't know. I'm going to open my door and just have people come in. They go, "Weren't you worried about the fines? Aren't you worried about like getting shut down?" I'm like, this is a fight. You can get punched in the face. You can't go to a fight and not expect to get hit. Yeah. These fines, this stuff is all getting hit. You just got to decide whether it's worth it or not. If you want to close your business down and put on your panties and go home, then do that. Or you stand with the big boys, have your business open, and taking a fight. And no one stayed open. None of them. Not one of those people that came out and talked to me about it because they didn't want a fine. They didn't want a $1,000 fine. It blows my mind.
And meanwhile, many of them had to shut down because you still had to pay rent, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, So we stayed open so we can pay our rent.
What I'm saying is that they expected businesses to shut down and still have to pay all their bills. So many businesses during that time in California went bankrupt.
There were many restaurants went bankrupt because they can't just do carry out. They sell all their stuff on dine-in services, so they couldn't survive. A lot of gyms. I remember a news person for NBC came out to interview me, and she's like, there's a lot of these gym studios that are complaining about you being open, saying it's unfair that you get your gym open indoors and they have to spend $20,000-$30,000 to build an outside facility. So they take all their equipment out, their equipment's getting damaged by the weather, and they have to do this in order to stay open, and you don't have to, and it's not fair. And I said, they have a choice to make. They chose to spend their money on that outdoor thing. They chose to do that. They could choose to also keep their business indoors, but they didn't. Yeah. They chose the coward's way out and went along with the system. Yeah. I didn't. And of course that created a lot of backlash. When, of course, they published that, they put that part up for sure.
So you made yourself very, very available to the media, it sounds like?
I did until that piece where they really tried to bury me with it. From that point on, I only did live interviews. Yeah. So if they weren't going to do an interview live, I wasn't going to let them cut and hack it.
We didn't even do live interviews any longer. We would only take questions in writing beforehand. That's the only...
No. What we did is we did do some interviews and we recorded it as well.
Yeah, but they do a live interview and they would try to just get you, really trip us up, get you emotional. I'm like, you know what? This is not They're not on
Well,
our side. Why are we doing
It
this?
would do things like, they'd be like, "Are you worried about the police? Coming?" I go, "I'm not really worried about it." Then they'd say, "Are you worried about people dying from this stuff?" And I'd be, "Oh, it'd be horribly tragic if that happens." But they'd take my answer of "I'm not really worried about it" and apply it to "Am I worried about people dying?" So it's like I don't care. Let people die.
That's
Like
horrible.
so I was like, you know what, guys, I'm never doing an NBC interview ever again.
Yeah, they're horrible. They're the worst.
We had Good Morning America, which I think is NBC. When our controversy first broke out, we did a beautiful interview, had all the great right answers. It was literally like 45 minutes. Not 1 minute aired. They had nothing to work with. There was nothing they could take to work with. It never even saw the light of day. Yeah,
We still have it recorded on our phone, though.
that's true. Yeah.
So, was any part of this cancellation, was there any part where you were like, God, am I gonna make it through this? Are you sure about this, God? Was there any point where you were like wavered in your, like, are you sure this is what I should be doing?
I never questioned it for 1 second. And there was a lot of anxiety sometimes, but that's of the flesh. But in my spirit, I never doubted that God would have my back. Not one bit.
The anxiety, tell us about that, like sleepless nights, drinking, did you lashing out at people? What did that look like?
And how low
Thankfully,
did it go?
I haven't drank alcohol since 2007, so thankfully on that. But no, it's just the having to be there like all day, having to feel the police coming and just making sure you say the right things because you just want it to go smoothly. Having to deal with the media, having to deal with people. I think at one point in time, someone came by and threw a beer bottle at me when I was staying outside. Horrible aim. Didn't even come close to hitting me. In fact, I was confused as to what they were actually throwing it at. But they're like, "Y'all should close down. You're creating everyone else to be closed down because you're open," like insinuating that I'm creating a spread that no one else can be open. I'm like, I don't know what to say to that. Like.
So the second, when you found this little loophole, did that, all violations stopped? Everything stopped? All the trouble stopped?
Yeah, so they basically, we stopped getting harassed. We kept having visits from these health department officials. They come out in their little sweater with their stitched on badge and they have their taser. And the police would wait outside. The police didn't want to go inside just out of respect for me. But they come in and be like, "Hey, I noticed no one here is wearing masks." And I'd be like, "Oh, it sure looks like they're wearing masks to me." No one had masks on. And the guy's like, "I don't see anyone wearing a mask." I'm like, "I should look again."
And then what?
Hey, he just goes, "Well, I'm about to write this up." I'm like, "All right, do what you got to do, man." Like, "Well, you're not supposed to be open." I'm like, "I know." And that was every time they came in, they would just not know what to do because I'm sure they go into places. This has to be fixed. And they okay.
We had a emergency internal system when somebody would come by to everybody get their masks on and put them on.
No. We had a chain.
What?
There was a chain that I gave everybody a chain.
Yeah.
And they put the mask on the chain. And so if we had a health inspector, they just quickly, they already had.
You should have done what Big Lou did and just not even have him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You had to navigate around a bullshit system and still fight at the same time. We weren't going to not wear masks, but sometimes you have to play their game a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, at the very very beginning, we kind of tried to, but we never really forced people.
Yeah.
So, but I think at the very beginning, I'm like, all right, we're going to do this the right way. We're going to wear our masks when we work out. I put my mask on, did like 2 sets. I'm like, this is stupid. No one has to wear a mask. I can't.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
Like I'm suffocating in this thing.
Yeah, you suffocate. It's dangerous.
I would get so upset with the people that would rat on me in the gym, but they're far away from me. Like a bunch of Karens, it really like bothered me.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be around that atmosphere any longer. So I imagine other businesses throughout the country reached out to you for assistance. Like, tell us how to do what you did. Did you get any of that?
Well, he's got that. That's what he said earlier. He got it, and they got advice, and nobody did anything about it.
They thought I had some special like oh, well, if you file this letter and they'll just let you stay open. They didn't realize that I didn't I didn't have a I didn't have a plan. I just opened it and it's like, let's do it, and that was that. I didn't have there was no plan of attack to protect myself. It was draw your sword, put your shield on, and just charge right in.
Did you? I imagine your actions are so divisive that maybe you lost some friends and family through your actions.
Um, Opening the gym, it wasn't as bad. I don't think. There were some people that said I should have kept it closed. Actually, very close friends of mine in the medical industry did not agree with me keeping open and said that I'm going to create issues for people, overcrowding of the emergency rooms and stuff like that. And I don't know what to say to that. LA County has, I mean, we're in San Diego County, but LA County has horrible hospitals. So they're every time of the year during flu season, they're overcrowded.
Yeah.
So it's no different than any other time. And, but yeah, I did lose a couple, I guess the relationship were strained. They never strong again after that. Yeah. But I think as I transitioned more, as this kind of what this did was it kind of woke me up, woke a sleeping lion. I never really cared about politics or anything like that. And I started to pay attention more. Yeah. And that's when they started to push this in schools. And I went and spoke at a lot of school board meetings. And so I got involved in the school end, and I got involved in that aspect of it too.
Do you have kids?
I have 3. Actually, my first was born in 2021.
Oh my gosh.
So wow. Yeah. And I have twins that are almost 2 years old right now.
Beautiful.
So,
wow.
Yeah. And how was your wife through all this? Supportive every 100%. Step of the way?
100%. She actually, she managed the gym on Camp Pendleton. It's a Marine operated gym. So she's a civilian manager. She's a former vet, and or she is a vet. She's a former was in the Air Force, and they made her and the rest of the people open the gyms up in April. So it was 2 weeks, and then they reopened. And they were forced to go in and work. They were forced to be there. So she's like, if we're open on base, and we're like 6 minutes away, and all these Marines that are working out at these gyms live in town. So it's not like they're quarantined on base.
Right.
They're living in town. So why would a gym that's 5-6 minutes away from you, but it crosses into a Marine base, be safe, but your gym isn't safe? So she was 100% in favor of it.
Did you know you had this courageous lion inside of you always, or you discovered it through this process?
Well, I think, I had a pretty good ring man in Jesus, backing me up. So, like I said, I never was really that involved in it. I never, like they say, you never know, if there's no fear, there's never a chance to be brave.
Yeah.
So I guess I got I felt good that I got tested, and I feel like I rose above it, and I didn't cower away when a huge majority of people did.
Do you think, let's say your gym was hypothetically in Canada, and I'm sure maybe you thought about this, what would you have done in that situation?
I mean, I know people that have had gyms up there, and they would just literally lock them down. They just put bars, chains, lock them down. That poor guy's restaurant in Los Angeles, they literally built a wall around it and then confiscated everything inside of it, auctioned everything off from his restaurant because he was smart. He was just a good guy. And they eventually, years later now, have won a lawsuit that it was wrong what they did. And now the money is going to start coming back to them for everything that happened to them.
Wow.
City of Burbank in LA.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Build a wall around your place and sell everything. I mean, does it sound like the U.S. or does it sound like China?
None of this sounds. It's very draconian.
How did we get to that even? How do you think we got to that?
I think it was a test. I think they were just testing to see how compliant Americans would be. and they found out exactly how compliant Americans would be.
That we failed miserably.
Yeah,
Right?
they know that they do this again. The next time this happens, I don't think it'll be a virus because we're already conditioned now. We know that's not, we shouldn't do this. There'll be something else that comes up, something else. Oh, we have to lock down for this reason, and people will be, oh yeah, this is different. Now we trust you.
So you were getting death threats too, right?
So yeah, there was a time I came home and there was one of the news articles that was written, and it was tacked to my front door and written in red on it. And look, it wasn't blood, it was red paint, but it was written on there, murderer. And I was like, this is crazy. And then some of the emails that came across, like none of them were I'm gonna come kill you. But they're like, it would be a shame if someone would to invade your house in the middle of the night, and do unspeakable things to your wife while you watched, and then,
Wow.
Killed her and then killed you. And I'm like, what is, like, who thinks like this? What society we live in? And where are we?
That's horrible. You have a gun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I have multiple firearms.
Yes.
So where is your gym at now? How many members do you have now?
Right now, we're probably around 1,600 members.
Wow.
We're doing good. We've remodeled. It's really a gem of a place. People love it. The atmosphere there is great.
And you never had any financial downturn in any of this?
If anything, this is a crazy story. So it's funny. In January of 2020. I prayed to God, and I was like, God, I need a way to bring more people to my gym to try it out. Because a lot of people are just complacent working out at their corporate gyms. They don't want to come work at an independently owned family gym. They just want to stay where they're at in their little rut. How can I find a way to market to these people, get them tried out? So in a way, like, this whole thing happened. I took a stand, I listened to God, and these people came to me, where God says, whatever they take away from you, I will multiply it and give it back to you. What the enemy takes, he will give you back in tenfold. And it's really what happened.
Wow. I hope that, really viewers listening to our show, the next scamdemic that comes around the corner, maybe they've watched Erase and they could be better prepared to stand firm. Because when you stand firm and you do what's right and you're in integrity, even though, like you said, you got to take the punches because it's going to hurt. It hurts. It does not feel good.
There's no easy way out.
When you come out on the other side, you come out much stronger. So that's a message that I feel like I really hope that our viewers get. Just stand firm and stand together. If the government is pushing something on you, they don't have your best interest at heart. They don't. Yeah. They don't care about you. They don't give two rats' ass about you. So stop thinking that they do. And stop ratting on your neighbors. Just stand firm. If we all stood firm holding hands, they would have never gotten away with this. If you think about it, if you look at New York, who was very similar to California, who was very similar to other blue states, right? And then there were states like Florida. What, did the virus just not come to Florida? No. It's just that the amount of brainwashing and stupidity wasn't going to happen in Florida. We said no. And our government was, on our side for the most part. Not the whole time, but I mean, more so than New York and California, right?
Yeah.
And so
California, nothing.
People should have looked around and said, geez, if Florida's open and nobody's, like they show on these fake media clips of people just dying. That's like, use your brain to do more research. Don't just blindly follow. What, I guess that's my message. What message would you give anybody watching this show that is needing to stand firm? What message would you give them?
You have to realize what it is you want. and what it is you're willing to risk. Because nothing in life that's worth anything comes with no risk. And yeah, there was a risk. They could have taken my business and taken it away and confiscated stuff. There's that chance. But I'm sure if that happened, God would have had something better from the other end. I wasn't worried about it. That's why I wasn't worried about whatever happened, because God would handle it. My message to people is we are stronger together than we are by ourselves. And I carried a big burden during that because I was like the only one. And people eventually started to get on board. But for a large part of the beginning of that, it was a lonely place. And if every business has said no, right from the start, like you said earlier, just said, no, we're not doing this and opened, they can't go around and take everyone's business license. They can't take 5,000 business licenses away. They can't close down 5,000 businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of this country. They can't shut us down like that.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. I look at it as we're here by the grace of God, really, and we don't know what's coming next for us. Our life's trajectory could change on a dime, and we have. I'm an experienced cancellation victim now, so I know, and I'm ready to go now. If I'm in another controversy, I'm ready to fight. You know, I wasn't like that before. Now I'm ready. I would hope that people that are watching this show get that message. You need to effing stand up for yourself. You have to. You must. You must. And it's super scary, and you don't know the outcome. At the end of the road, everything might be taken away, but there is a greater purpose to all of it, and we don't know what that is, and it's really not for us to determine anyway. So that's the way I look at it.
The big takeaway is don't trust the government. I trust the government about as far as I can shot put Jupiter. That's about how far I trust them.
And we live in arguably the greatest country on earth with the most freedoms. I can imagine what it's like to live in another country, really. You know, if everybody stood together, I think about those trucker convoys in Canada. I don't know why I'm thinking about Canada a lot, which we supported. I remember them. They were all traveling toward Ottawa, and they really locked together. And you know what?
Money, and then they stole.
Canada shut them down so fast.
Money, yeah.
They shut down their bank accounts. They shut down the GoFundMe.
Canada is way more communist than I ever imagined.
That was crazy. Yeah, but at least in this country, and even in California, people can get together. People can stand up for what they believe is right and work the system.
Right now, if we don't continue to fight for it, it will be taken away.
Yeah.
It will be taken
away.
Absolutely. In the name of another emergency.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's going to be some other emergency come up. Whether they say there's an environmental emergency. We have to, no one can drive. No one can do this. No one can do that because the environment is under attack. Or there'll be, I don't know what it is, because I didn't know what this would be, but they'll have something else other than a virus that people will say, well, this is different now. The government does care about us because this is something new. Mm-hmm. And it won't be something new. It'll be the same thing to a much larger level.
That's right. It's guaranteed. It will happen, almost like clockwork. Every bunch of years, some major global thing happens that impacts all of us, every man, woman, and child on Earth.
I mean, they were close to building, like, there are these rumors of concentration camps being built to put people who wouldn't get the thing, in, and the rhetoric and talk against people who wouldn't do that was almost reminiscent of what happened in Germany. To people, like, oh, these people are the problem. They're the disease. They're the, like, whoa, you're calling people a disease. You're calling people the problem. That sounds
terrorists.
Yeah. So
remember that?
It's very concerning that rhetoric was going around. What's the next chapter going to be? They're going to wait till it calms down, and we have to be ready for the next round of government shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, I think I can safely say that Big Lou, Uridel, Leila Centner, and me, we're ready to go. We're ready to fight.
Go.
Bring it on. Thank you, Lou. Thank you for coming on our show. What a great story. What an inspiration to all of us. And I hope people that are watching find that courage at those times that is really needed, and they step into their power, because we all have it.
Find your cojones.
Find your cojones. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you for being the one business in your town that stood up and said, no, I will not close down. Thank you for that bravery.
Good for you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Oh wait, we forgot to ask the question. Hold on,
What?
we forgot to ask the question.
Oh, keep
Yeah.
going.
Keep rolling. We like to
Yeah.
ask this at the end. Okay. Okay. So as you know, our show is about giving people a platform to share the story, because we did not get to share our side of the story because the media really wanted to hear what they wanted to hear, and even then so they would chop it up. How did you feel today about being able to share your story? What did you think the experience on being on Erased
And
was?
what do you think of the show?
So I think it's great to have a forum where you give a voice to the voiceless. Throughout a lot of the things I've been through, there weren't many outlets where you could be heard. There were many outlets that would want to talk the opposite about you, about the problems you're causing, but there weren't many outlets that would let you speak freely and openly where your whole story could be heard. So I think it's a testimony to giving people a chance and a platform to be able to speak out, and you can hear the truth of what happened to them as opposed to what you may have heard in news reports or stories about that person. So I think what you guys are doing is wonderful, and I think it needs to be more broadcast to more people, and your guys' story needs to be shared as well.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much
Okay.
for your time today.
Okay.
Thank you.